Hello and welcome. I'm Vijay Srinivasan and this is Talking Sense with Srini. In this edition, we turn the spotlight on the emerging leaders of the state of Tamil Nadu. We call them the young Turks, Udhayanidhi Stalin, Vijay and Annamalai, and what their rise could mean for the state's political future. Joining us to decode this is our editor-in-chief, S. Srinivasan. So let's start with actor Vijay first, since he's the talk of the town right now. From M.G. Ramachandran, the former chief minister, to Kamal Hassan, who just became Rajya Sabha MP there. Everybody, whoever been in the political field in Tamil Nadu, they had some kind of cadres in the ground, right? I think that's the kind of missionary that they built, and they became successful. MGR, Jayalalitha, and so on. And otherwise, they miserably failed. How do you see Vijay on this backdrop? Is he some kind of a genuine third force, or you think it's a fan frenzy with a manifesto in hand?
Yeah, you're taking up a very interesting topic. We are looking at the top three, perhaps Tamil Nadu's youth leaders, if I can say that, and perhaps all of them would be nearing 50. But still in politics, they're pretty young. Uh, I think Vijay and Udhayanidhi are around.
They've crossed 50, and I think
crossed 50.
Annamalai is 40.
40. So he still has lots of time before him. Age is on their side. So it's very interesting. So in national politics and other places, we often hear about the graying of political leadership.
That's
But
right, yeah.
Tamil Nadu seems to be really blessed, where it has lots of leaders coming up who are young, and therefore Tamil Nadu politics is going to be pretty interesting. So the question you started is with TVK, Vijay, who was launched as actor.
That's right.
What is that? What is the future of Vijay, in the sense that will he really bloom or he'll perish? And you gave examples. See, it's interesting that he has gone into, if you look at, a kind of if you do a perception study of him and look at, what are the possibilities Vijay and his politics could have. See, one thing is very clear, that, as you yourself said, everybody knows Vijay. So that's a good starting point. He need not go and introduce himself to the electorate. He is in that sense a real star. So normally they get star speakers into political
That's right.
rallies so that people identify. In this case, he doesn't need anything like this. He is very, very well known. So that's a big, big, big plus with him. Now, the next question is, he's not the first star. There have been many stars in the past, as you mentioned, from Jayalalitha, before MGR, and then later you saw, Kamal Hassan, or even there was talk about Rajini entering politics, or earlier, you have other actors who have come. Vijay Kant has been pretty successful. He acted in movies, and he also did a good sterling performance in politics. So Tamil Nadu is full of such successful histories in the past, and therefore the question is, will Vijay really succeed? Yes, he has been receiving a lot of crowds. His rallies are very well attended. But is it enough? Can he translate that into votes? So it's a very untested thing so far. So if you really look at, if this is his strength, what is his opportunity? He has a huge opportunity. The state can be his. He can be the next chief minister if he plays his card well. And because there is a certain, anti-incumbency in the state, there are people who believe that, Dravidian politics has been running here for quite some time. And even his politics, whatever little he has said, doesn't move away from the main ideology of this state, which is basically built on social,
Secular.
yeah, social, secular. Basically, the foundation is more on equality,
Yeah.
So looking at society at large. So those things are the boxes which every politician here to tick, because otherwise the politics doesn't work here. He ticks all the boxes. He himself being a minority, there is certain sensitivity towards that. All those things are, the great opportunities for him to convert this, entire benefit which he has into tangible votes. But will he be able to do that is a big question. One of the biggest thing which has come across as you see him, like I said, that he hasn't clarified his position on anything. Nobody knows what he stands for. He has only said two things. One, he said that DMK is my, political rival, and BJP is my ideological rival or enemy. That's the word he has used. Beyond that, he has, taken some position on, say, Parandur Airport. He has taken a position perhaps on NEET, which are actually easy, low-hanging fruits for a state like Tamil Nadu, because most politicians would do that. But what is it he stands for? He has actually distributed a lot of scholarships, on students who do well in school exams, first three
awards and all that.
Awards and all that. All that he has instituted. Well, very, very good. It will encourage students. But what he stands for, nobody knows, because it's largely very, very nebulous. And has he taken stands on various day-to-day issues? Whether he has a position on anything.
But does it really matter to the average voter?
Look, politics is not one single factor which decides. It's a combination of many factors which makes the person finally vote in favor of somebody. He does make up his mind. See, the intense supporters of, or the fans of Vijay will of course go and cast, because they are blinded by the fact that they are followers of Star. But then that's not enough for him to cross a threshold. He requires a lot more votes. So that's where he'll have to do that. He'll have to go beyond his, what comes to him naturally as a support base. He has to build on that. Easy doing that? That requires a lot of hard work. If you take MGR or Jayalalitha, both of them almost no less, in fact could be more, appeal among the masses of Tamil Nadu. You would agree to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
But how much of hard work they put in? The effort
but
they put in.
Are we in a different? Are we not in a different era right now? It's a digital era, isn't it?
Look, people still want to. It's a digital era. You can't just say, "Look, I'll send you a video, check it out, and then you vote me." People still want to see him physically. Some of them even want to, touch him or at least shake hands with him. Keep that aside because it's a security issue. But at least they want to see him. They want to listen to him firsthand. That's why so much of people gather around him. They want to go and see. Easy doing that. He's cancelling left, right and center his, field visits and just saying that, look, I'll send a video. Politics is a lot of hard work. And you may, you may think anything else, but if you are not doing hard work, if you're not going to the field, if you're not standing by the people, if you don't face some amount of, dust, and if you don't sweat, and if you don't, it falls short. None of this he seems to be doing. He's not breaking out of a kind of comfort zone he seems to be settled in right now. So that he has to come out. He has to break away from that. He has to, he has to pick up some babies. He has to shake hands with few people. Politicians go all that far. It's not as if politicians are not very well known. If you want to be in politics, you're in the middle of it, you better do all this. So Vijay has not been doing any of this. Tell me if he's doing, and therefore...
No, I have a follow-up question on this, but I want to ask you this at the fair end of it once we discuss Annamalai and Udhay. And Annamalai, right now, it's arguably the rock star of the Bharatiya Janata Party in Tamil Nadu. And we did a broader talking sense on this a couple of months back as well. Our viewers can go back and look at that episode as well for a comprehensive understanding of why he was sidelined from the Bharatiya Janata Party. Right now, he was about to be contested from Modakuruchi, but Annamalai himself refused to do so, and then he wasn't offered a ticket this time. But the Bharatiya Janata Party is still betting on him because the party believes that there is a certain amount of vote percentage that he could actually garner, and he's been asked to campaign. Is the Bharatiya Janata Party underutilizing the leader that the party nurtured for so long?
Well, you're right. Annamalai really came as a big kind of a star.
That's right, yeah.
In BJP's political history in Tamil Nadu. See, in Tamil Nadu, at least BJP is not known for any sort of aggression. All the leaders in the past have been pretty passive. In fact, one could clearly say they perhaps lacked certain confidence which is required to project BJP in the state. I mean, I was speaking to a former journalist friend of mine before coming to this, and he was telling me that earlier when they would call for a BJP rally, at the most the party leaders will say, okay, we can gather 1,000 people, maybe 2,000, at the most 5,000. But nobody said, okay, we'll get same amount of crowd which other parties get. Maybe 1 lakh, maybe 2 lakhs. Annamalai taught BJP's Tamil Nadu unit to think big. He said, no, you can gather such large crowds. And then he did manage to mobilize crowd, mobilize finances, and able to kind of give a big push to parties, outreach to people. And then he organized yeah, and then he took I think Son of the Soil, he was trying to connect with the people on the ground, and he did a huge rally, and he received good support. People went and shook hands with him. He was traveling from village to village, and he was walking. So he did all that, and therefore there was a certain momentum which is built in the state, and he became a kind of a unstated rock star for BJP. And and he became instantly known. See, he already had a good public persona as a educated,
I think he's an IIM
IPS officer who took voluntary retirement to do good for the people. I mean, that is a kind of a pitch on which he worked, that he wanted to be in public life, and therefore, see, there are people.
He's got the best CV of being a politician.
Well, there are so many bureaucrats, but then he brought certain dynamism, and he was even called a Singham. I mean, take off on a movie.
That's right.
I think it's a three-part movie.
Yeah.
In which police officer, on various stages of his career, takes on baddies and uses unconventional methods. I think that's what he has also done in Tamil Nadu politics. A lot of unconventional things he tried. He's in your face, attacking, and not pulling his punches, and able to call spade a spade. And he did, mobilize a certain, cadres, youth and youngsters around him. And he was, challenging the DMK regime, saying that I'm going to bring corruption cases against you. He held a huge press conference. He's saying this is part 1, I'm going to bring part 2. So he was undeterred when he was, told that, you would face with some legal consequences. So he was able to build a public persona. So that's the image he did, and therefore he managed to pull up BJP in Tamil Nadu from being kind of a also ran party to someone who could matter. And the message even reached Delhi. So when I was in Delhi, many of my North Indian friends who had no idea of Tamil Nadu politics, they were wondering who this Annamalai is. They were not even able to pronounce his name properly, but then they all knew that there is somebody who's so charismatic there. So he managed to give that kind of. So that's the kind of appeal he had in the, he could build in the state. But then coming to the other point, and if that's the reason why he's sidelined, why he's kind of blacklisted, why he's not contesting the election, I think this largely has to do with his inability to manage the his own self beyond a point. I think he was too carried away with his own image and his aggression.
Stakeholder management isn't there.
Perhaps he couldn't do it, and he antagonized almost everyone
within the party,
within the party, alliance partners. Within the party, he had number of people who actually put their foot down, and very apprehensive about him. And you've been hearing stories about them, what happened within the party. Outside the party, you have an alliance partner, Edapadi. EPS was so annoyed that he went and told, the Delhi leaders of, the Delhi High Command, saying that, look, if he is there as a party chief, I won't be in the alliance. And actually, AIDMK quit the alliance during parliamentary election 2024. If AIDMK was part of that alliance, perhaps the story of, BJP would have been, maybe it would have been much different, because they're short of majority in parliamentary election. Maybe they would have got it from Tamil Nadu, because that opportunity also slipped them because, because of Annamalai. AIDMK pulled out. And then, not just that, once, this alliance was broken and High Command was very keen to build the alliance, but his entire pronunciation and his, expressions about leaders, others kept on pouring in. So I think the party had to take a decision. In fact, if you remember, the party ideologue, Mr. Gurumurthy, in an interview to me, told me that, look, as of now, he's not being sidelined, but he's being, perhaps kept in reserve for a later date. Because they wanted to give more prominence to
is that later date after 2026? What if things go south for the AIADMK-led NDA, and you think Annamalai would later be projected as undisputed leader?
See, one thing about BJP, they are very pragmatic. See, the thing which went wrong for him, that he insisted on certain constancies that was not given. First, he said, "Look, my father is unwell. I'm not going to campaign." So then later it turned out that he was supposed to campaign. He was made in charge of only 6 districts, which was considered another down for him. And then he wanted to campaign all around the state. That didn't happen. He himself didn't get a ticket finally. And therefore, all these are perhaps, even there were reports that when Prime Minister was here, he failed to show up as a part of the welcome reception party. He failed to show up. All these things have also shown a certain streak of kind of indiscipline in him. So BJP, particularly as a party, BJP believes in a lot of discipline, because that's how the RSS cadres are trained, and that's one thing they really insist on. But while that thing remains, they're also pretty pragmatic. If they really see a value in a particular person and they feel that because of him we may get some votes, they will use him. Because they wouldn't like to lose, the support which is coming because of. So they will handle tantrums to a certain point. But then certainly if he exceeds, if it goes beyond, then obviously they're not going to continue. So as you asked what might happen, the way things are going, he doesn't seem to be very, he's not clearly not very happy with the alliance, not very happy with the ticket distribution. So obviously, even if he campaigns, how much effective those campaigns will be, we don't know. So obviously, he don't seem to be working for the success of AIDMK, the larger partner, which is headed by Edappadi. And Edappadi belongs to the same community, same region. Both of them come from the western belt of Tamil Nadu. And probably there is a competition going on there as well. So there are a number of things which kind of shows that, in this election, how it may turn out, we don't know. But in case AIDMK is able to make some mark, even suppose it wins, then obviously his thing will take a hit. But like the question which you asked, in case AIDMK does badly, the alliance, NDA alliance does badly, will he get an opportunity? Yes, certainly. Like, he's only in his 40s. If he is able to restrain himself, politically move astutely, he has opportunity. It's not as if Annamalai is written off. Annamalai has a lot of chance. But then he has to learn how to manage it as well.
Okay, now Coming to the warrior prince of the DMK, Udhayanidhi Stalin, the deputy chief minister. He's already a deputy chief minister, so he's quite established, in that way. We're talking about young Turks here, right? We spoke about Vijay, we spoke about Annamalai. You think Udhayanidhi Stalin fits into this grouping in a disruptive sense, because he still seems to be the shadow of the current chief minister, Mr. M.K. Stalin. He comes from a huge family, in fact, the first family of the state. So he already been established there. So
Yeah, so his case is slightly different. He's got the benefit of being a son of, MK Stalin and grandson of Karunanidhi, MK
That's right.
Karunanidhi. So he has a certain lineage. So in that sense, he's a dynast.
hmm
Uh, this is the positive thing, is being a dynast and also being an actor. He also acted in about a dozen movies or so.
but isn't being a dynasty a negative thing?
No, at least he's known in that sense.
Okay.
That he need not go and introduce himself to the people. He is
Yeah.
well known. People know him. Also, he acted in movies. He
That's
may
right.
not be a star, but then still he's familiar. People are familiar with him. They know the name and they know they can attach the face to that name.
True.
So these are his, plus points right from the beginning. But being a dynasty is a disadvantage in Indian politics? Not necessarily. We haven't seen, because people have defeated a politician because he's a dynast. Though there is a certain narrative which BJP keeps sending, and most people don't like, but still that has not been a decisive factor. It's not been proved that somebody has lost because he's a dynast. And that has worked very well, not just in India, it's in many parts of the world, especially South Asian, other countries. It has worked. So I won't think that's a big factor, but it's a negative factor in the sense that it's constantly brought forward something against him. But then here is the thing. Even M.K. Stalin is a dynast. He inherited from his father,
That's right. Yeah.
but he has worked 40 years in the party. M.K. Stalin actually went to jail. He was beaten up, and he had a severe neurological
emergency.
problem during emergency. And he has been into various party posts, and he has come up step by step. And he has been a city mayor. He has actually administered the city.
Absolutely. Yeah. He did a fantastic job.
And then he became a deputy CM under his father, watchful father. And after that, after his death, he took over the party and been able to run it successfully. So Stalin case, despite being a dynast, you cannot purely put him in that sense, because he has worked towards that. He has worked hard. So he cannot be compared in the same sense as Udhayanidhi's. Udhayanidhi, even till 2011, that time we had just launched, our sister channel, Pudi Thalamari. He had come to our office. I did ask him a question. And that time he was an actor, and there was some movie release. He had come for its publicity. I did ask him that, will you be joining politics? So he didn't say anything. And there were other questions asked by journalists elsewhere. And he again said absolutely no. But then suddenly what happened in 2021, I don't think there was a certain plan, because there are stories saying that when the ticket selection was happening and M.K. Stalin was conducting the interviews, he suddenly landed up. And father said, why have you come here? No, I don't think this is, he would encourage. He said, I won't be encouraging. So he had to go off. But dramatically, after 7 days,
Candidature was announced.
Candidature was announced. He was there in the list, and he fought that election, won that election also. So his entry was, as dramatic as it could be. And then he was immediately given various posts. There are a number of posts which was given to him.
Now he's youth minister.
And then youth
deputy
minister
chief
and also deputy CM. So the promotions and other things have come very fast. It's a breakneck speed in politics, one could say, that these things have come, which no other, politician would get. He has got it only because he's a dynast. But can he prove himself? And what has been the track record so far? Has he been a good administrator? Is he a great orator? Has he done remarkably anything in politics? So it's been a mixed bag. See, in the sense that he really stirred a controversy when he took a brick
and
and
aims.
say that I've stolen this brick. There are only two lying in the spot, basically pointing fingers at the center that they've not been able to complete this project on time. Similarly, he made a very controversial statement on Sanatan Dharma and said, these guys, Sanatanis, should be eradicated like mosquitoes. So that created a huge controversy. He became suddenly a national figure.
Sensation,
and perhaps that even helped BJP win Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. In Hindi heartland, there was a backlash to his. And people who didn't know associated himself with Stalin, and by that they associated with India alliance, and therefore Congress is being said it was one of the reasons that he did. But other than that, what has been his strong politics, or what has he done? I think he has managed to run his ministry very well. The sports ministry, which is here aiming, the sports policy of the states is aiming for a good performance of the state participation in national team for the 2030 Olympics. I think 2030 Olympics. 2030 Olympics. I think they're preparing towards that. So he has actually encouraged a lot of people. His ministry has picked up, young boys and girls and given them full facilities, equipments, training and other things to bring them up to speed so that they can be ready for the Olympics. So I think there are some, aspects of good job he has done there. But the bigger thing here is whether he'll face any challenges from within the party, because after all he's a dynast and suddenly being risen in the party where there are a number of other state and district leaders of DMK who are equally powerful, because it's a cadre-based party and it is not built on one personality. This DMK has got a lot of its district chiefs who are equally powerful and strong, and they're all veterans. Have they accepted this all quietly? Have they not even spoken a words about his transition? Because when M.K. Stalin was elevated, there wasn't anything because he was more or less part of the party. But this fellow was suddenly brought in, Udhayanidhi. Were there any murmurs? What has happened is there weren't many. There were few, but very, very muted. That's because it is not just him. The entire ecosystem of DMK has a lot of other, satraps, sons, daughters who all come up. So it's not that he's the only dynast. There are a number of other dynasts who are, grown with him. So there is one, the education minister, Poyyamuri.
That's right. Yeah.
He's again
lots of them.
Yeah. So if you see at
Thangam, the finance minister,
Thangam Tenarasu, or you say even Durai Murugan,
son is also there.
His son is there. So you name it, and you have a whole lot of other people who are coming in. In fact, I was given a data which is very interesting, that there are 31 dynasts in the current DMK list. And so they have brought in a lot of such people to, they have very carefully seem to have worked this almost as a strategy, that it's not just Udhayanidhi alone. The whole lot of DMK leaders, sons and daughters are all risen alongside. And therefore it becomes a completely new ecosystem, and where there is a certain bonding, networking among themselves, and it's actually maintaining a status quo to next generation at some level. That seems to have happened. I think it's a very remarkable experiment. If it really succeeds for DMK, it'll be a very interesting case study. But is there any challenge from within the party? So looking from this, it appears to be very little challenge. Maybe his aunt,
Kanimuri.
Could have been a possible threat, because she, After Stalin, she is the senior most leader, and she is the daughter of Karunanidhi.
M. Karunanidhi, yeah.
So there are people who would say, okay, senior leaders, who would you opt for? Would you like to go for, I mean, would you support daughter or grandson? So many may say senior leaders, at least daughter, because she is closest to Karunanidhi than grandson. But the thing here is, Kanimuri herself has maintained a certain poise in politics. She comes across someone who is very suave, very, this thing in politics. She has kept her poise. I was speaking to a commentator who was saying she is in many ways a conformist, so doesn't expect any kind of rebellion or anything to come from her. If the elder brother, which is M.K. Stalin, takes a decision, and as a party, leader and a worker, so the thinking is that she may not create any. She won't rebel or create any problem. This is the input I was given. So probably that is the case. So if there is a challenge which Udhayanidhi has to really look for is outside, and that could be Vijay, and that could be Annamalai. And Vijay is the biggest threat. If Vijay is able to pull up his socks and then perform, then he can really be the the next star in the ferment of Tamil Nadu politics. But then he has to work towards that.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Insightful talking to you.
Thank you.